Hi everyone, welcome to the Ravit Show. We are here at New Relic's booth at AWS reInvent. I have Jemiah with me from New Relic. Jemiah, first of all, it's so good to meet you again this year.
Yeah,
We
it's great
met,
to see you.
yes, exactly last year we were here, and things have evolved so much.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not only just in the AI space, but even in terms of the technology, right?
Yes.
I'm kind of curious to learn from you what has changed over the last 1 year since the time we spoke. We had met you here. Tell us a little bit about that and how are developers and what are they most excited about as well.
Yeah. So great seeing you again, first of all.
Thank
And I
you.
think over the last year, as you can see, like AI is just continuing to explode, right?
Explode,
Like
right?
us ourselves, we had the largest launch in company history at New Relic Now earlier this year, where we launched a ton of features that really focus on helping developers better understand kind of like their data that's within the system,
Right?
but also building AI capabilities that can help them work in the spaces that they know and love.
So
And
true.
I think that that's what you're seeing across the entire industry,
Industry.
right?
True.
Like as I work with folks or I speak with developers really globally, there's a ton of excitement around agentic AI at this point, like building agents that can also almost act as a digital teammate,
Teammate.
right?
Right.
You know,
Right.
or you having a virtual SRE that sit by you. So as I'm focusing on building features, the things that I'm interested in,
Yes.
I have like a tool there that's going to help make
Help me.
sure that it's reliable,
Yeah.
deal with some of the things that I don't necessarily want to be focused on at that moment, but
Yep.
keeping me making sure that my tools are performant. Ton of excitement around MCP. I think
MCP for sure.
everybody that I speak to these days are building with MCP, testing out how to integrate different tools, looking at how to kind of really streamline their workflow, and remove the issue that we have just when you're building software. You're jumping through so many screens, you're going back and forth, you're reading documentation, you're trying to look at your observability tools and make sure things are performant. Like it's so much context switching that it just really impacts your cognitive load. And
Yeah.
I think we're in a space now with agents and MCP, everyone's like, oh, well, I could actually streamline this, right? Like I can really just be in my IDE
Right.
and getting all of this insight that I need kind of like in this one space to really drive accurate decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I love those insights, and you're so right. Where we all have been, like you said, AI is exploding more
Yes.
than ever. But developers are excited to have an SRE agent that can work with
Yeah.
them and can act like a coworker. I'm also, since I also talk to a lot of developers, the one thing that they always mention to me is, Ravit, we can deploy agents who can do our work, but we also want to make sure that we have the right guardrails in place.
Exactly.
We have the right monitoring that's happening, and it's
Right.
actually also telling us, giving us basically a good report where our agents are doing what when we are
Exactly.
even sleeping. So how
Yeah.
is that kind of being handled? Can you share a little bit
Yeah,
about
yeah, I
that?
think that part's actually incredibly important, right? Like we're abstracting humans in certain areas
Right?
and allowing tools to drive their own decisions. You have agents that are using various MCP servers. They're calling out to different tools and
Right?
working directly with other agents. It's incredibly important for you to have that understanding of what's happening, right? Like if I have an issue, down the line, it becomes really hard to find,
Right.
right? So I think having that insight into understanding the performance of the actual agent itself and what tools it's calling out to, if there are errors down in the tool chain,
Yes.
that's going to be key to knowing if, like, hey, I built this system, we have these agents, I'm looking at them as like this virtual teammate, but is it creating more work for me?
More
Is it
work.
causing issues, right?
Yes,
And so I
100%.
think as we move further into folks developing agentic AI or working with agentic frameworks, observability of that layer is going to be
So
so
important.
important,
Yes.
right? Like not only what is the agent that I built or my agent doing, but which servers are it's calling, what other agents are they calling, which tools are being used. Like
So
I need
true.
to understand that.
I love it. I love how you've kind of explained it, and because developers kind of feel that need of making sure that my agents are doing
Yeah.
well, it is a massive thing that how Neuralink is also kind of
Yes.
supporting them in their journey. I'm kind of also curious to learn a little bit about the future, right? How are you kind of seeing the future, maybe in the next, maybe I would say 6 to 8 months? How do you see these agents evolving? Because we first it was obviously a singular agent helping us.
Yeah.
Now it's multiple agents talking to each other and helping. But for developers, how do you see the future in next 6 to 8 months? How it will evolve, and what should they be ready about?
Personally, I see developers becoming the orchestrator, right? So
Orchestrator,
instead of me writing every
100%.
line of code, I'm going to
Right.
focus on certain parts. And I'm going to give directions to my agents and my tools
Nice,
on
nice.
what actually needs to
More
happen.
productivity.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. So we'll
yeah.
see a spike in productivity, but that creates the need for understanding what's happening, understanding those tools, so I
Very
can make
important.
sure that the work that I'm assigning is being completed, right? So
Right,
we'll see that happen, and you'll start to see a reduction in the number of tools that I need to use or that I need to be looking at, right?
right.
So a lot of that work's going to start happening almost headless, like, right? So I'm going to pull in my observability data
Yes,
from one
yes.
tool, and it's going to be able to drive action in AWS using their MCP server, and so on and so forth. So things just will move rapidly. We'll need a ton of insight. Developers will become almost like the orchestra
Oh, yes,
conductor, right? Telling the
yes.
agents of what to
Yeah,
do, and
100%.
then making sure that things are accurate and
That's
performant.
awesome. That's
Okay.
awesome. I think that's how you can scale things. You can be more productive,
Yep.
and the work will be faster as well. So that's
Exactly.
awesome. I'm also, since we're here at AWS reInvent, I'm also curious to know a little bit about how do you work with AWS? What's the partnership looking like?
Yeah.
And how are developers excited about using New Relic plus AWS together?
Yeah, I'd say AWS is a great partner for us,
Right.
right? And I'm very excited about what we announced this week, right? Like the integration into Q, allowing developers to have access to their observability data when they're
Nice.
using AWS DevOps tools,
DevOps.
especially to help drive those decisions,
Right.
understanding the live production performance of what's happening with their system, or even our security agent that we launched, right? So that's going to allow me to focus, or as a developer, for me to really focus on building software that is secure and performant, because now I can see real production data and understand which vulnerabilities I may have, whether it's from the application side or even the cloud infrastructure. And it's going to help me address that without needing to jump into different tools and
Yes,
search things out.
100%.
And I'm sure our folks in the security team is going to love that, right? You know, so
You're
it's
right.
stopping me from having to
Worry
pause
about
the
this.
work,
Yes.
right, and have those issues to be automatically remediated for me, right? And that's incredible.
Yes, I love
Yeah.
it. Great partnership there. One
Yeah.
last question that I have for you, Jemiah, is if developers who are looking out for, obviously they are using agents, but if they want to, obviously utilize New Relic, if they want to, use the different, even if they are on AWS,
Yep.
if they want to use different products, and you'll have like so many different products
Yep.
and different lines of monitoring and observing data as well, where can they do that and how can they get started?
Yeah. So one thing for any tool in observability, the most important part is getting hands-on, right?
Hands on.
So newrelic.com, sign up for a free tier where you're going to get access to the
Oh,
full
nice.
platform,
That's awesome.
right?
Yeah.
And that's not a trial offer, but like full access to the entire New Relic platform.
Oh,
Then I'd
nice.
say you start testing things, like start working with the MCP server, start seeing how you can actually integrate and get some of that data inside of your IDE.
Very
A great
important.
place to even start what's like integrating New Relic with Copilot, right?
Copilot.
So
Oh,
as you're
okay.
building and shipping code into production, you can get insights from your production environment around what that deployment is doing, how is it impacting your
Very
your
cool.
your environment, right?
Yeah.
And so that's helping you understand just kind of like your change, like the impact of your change on what's going on with your production system. And that's a great way to start of like gaining access and insight
Getting that
using,
hands-on
yeah,
for the product is very important.
yeah.
That's awesome. Jemiah, we'll keep the conversation going. It's always such a pleasure to meet you, and obviously, thanks for doing this and great work that you and your team have been doing in the space and helping the developer community get to the next level. And with all the agentic AI solutions that you all have put together, it's a game changer for sure for the developers.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's great to talk to you again. I'm looking forward to seeing you next year
Yes, for
back
sure.
at reInvent. It's
Can't
awesome.
wait. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today.